All right, we got it right now. And that's going to be it. We're going to be right. I'm going to go straight through. I apologize for all the technical difficulties. It was horrifying to see what I saw happen Sunday at a church in St. Paul. And I think one of the most horrifying things that I saw and the most angering things that I saw was a child cowering in fear, crying, while his dad cradled him and his mom put her arm on his shoulder. This should never happen in a sanctuary, ever. That could be my son Isaac when he was a child. That sanctuary is precious. I'm teaching my son who Jesus is. I'm teaching my son who God is. I'm teaching my son that he is safe in that.
No, I've imagined it's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here.
I am teaching my son that he is safe in that sanctuary. And he is being attacked, and he's being terrified in that very sanctuary. His world is being rocked. It is a precious place. It is an absolutely precious place. And that's why there are civil rights protections with anybody who would go in and disrupt a religious proceeding. This was actually absolutely vile, and this was absolutely disgusting and enraging. This is a insanely way beyond the limit and the line. This is not a protest. This is an invasion. This is an attack on churches. This is an attack on Christianity. This church is a Southern Baptist church. I'm a member of a Southern Baptist church, but it doesn't matter what denomination it is. An attack on one is an attack on all of us, and that's exactly what this was, an attack on all of us. We are all on notice that this could happen to our churches, and we must have a plan, and we must be ready. I'm going to talk to my pastor, Dr. Robert Jeffress, on the air tomorrow at 5:10 Central Time and 6:10 Eastern tomorrow afternoon. So join me tomorrow with Dr. Robert Jeffress on this very channel, on this very live feed, as I interview Dr. Robert Jeffress at 5:10 p.m. Central and 6:10 p.m. Eastern about this very matter. Follow me on Rumble and YouTube at Croc Talk, KROKTALK, and at Croc Talk Radio to watch it live tomorrow. So that picture of that boy, though, is the absolute most horrifying thing that we can see. That's exactly what they did. They terrorized these children. Now let's go to Don Lemon, who pretends like he's a journalist and did nothing wrong. My friend Eric Erickson, writing this afternoon, he said, Don Lemon probably needs to know that several people were prosecuted by the Biden administration for storming into the Capitol on January 6th, even though they claimed they were just journalists covering the riots. That's exactly right. He is not immune. He is not a journalist covering this. He planned on it. He kissed the lady in the cheek with it. He knew what was going on. He was live and said, I can't tell you what this operation is, but we're about to go. And boy, did he ever. One of the most sickening things, like a sick ghoul or a goon, Don Lemon was coming around the outside of the church while children were pouring out, terrified, holding on to their parents. Look at this. This is unbelievable. This is terrorism in a church. That's what this is. This is terrorism.
Watch this guy here. Look, he's hugging his kid. And, you know, I've imagined it's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here. But again, careful. It's very slippery right here. Yeah. It's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here, but that's what really, careful, please, really slippery. Not kidding. That's what protesting is about.
Making children uncomfortable, terrifying children. That's what protesting is all about. Terrifying children. Chasing them out of their freaking house of worship in the United States of America. That's what protesting is about. That is not protest, that is terrorism, and that's what this was, domestic terrorism. The Assistant Attorney General for the United States Attorney General, Assistant U.S. Attorney General for the Office of Civil Rights, DOJ Harmeet Dillon says, this is absolutely a violation of the FACE Act, which criminalizes using force or threats against churches. That's exactly what they did. They threatened, they yelled, they screamed at people. It is also a violation of, there was one more exact violation it was. I'll have to get that for you. But there's two different things. Oh, the Ku Klux Klan Act. The Ku Klux Klan Act is another one that this most likely can be attached to. And my prayer and my hope is that they will arrest these people and charge them and bring them to justice and prosecute them. You're going to hear from this one guy who was prominent in the entire thing, who is just a sick, wicked man. He really is. He's an evil, sick, wicked guy, yelling and screaming. By the way, he will go to a mosque on the same day. You'll see him at a mosque in Minneapolis, St. Paul. You know, they go to the mosque and they worship the mosque and they praise it because it is not the truth, because it is a lie. They come after Christianity because Christianity is the truth. Because Jesus said, and God says that they will hate you. They hate me, and they will hate you, and that's exactly what this is. Now, let me go to the next piece of video here. This is when they stormed the church, and it's just important to see this, to talk about this, to break it down. Here we go. Imagine this is your house of worship, and this is what's going on. Imagine that.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good!
And by the way, I don't care if Renee Good, I don't care if one of the pastors at the church out of 8 pastors works at ICE. It doesn't matter. This is terrorism of a church. This is terrorizing a church. What is your church's plan? Does your church have a plan? How will you and your church respond when or if this happens? Let's continue with this video here, okay?
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Shame! Where are you? Where are you?
And this is a pastor literally speaking, and he approaches him at the pulpit and starts screaming at him while the church is being terrified.
Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity?
This is good versus evil on display right here. That pastor is good. This guy is screaming and evil, expecting him to be at a federal building protesting ICE.
Standing for our people. Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? I'm not going to comment. You have no comment. Exactly. Renee Good! Renee Good!
I'm going to keep jumping a little bit ahead to show this part where this guy is screaming at church members, terrifying them.
Living
Is he going to pull out a gun? Is he going to shoot somebody? Is he going to hit somebody?
lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit as a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No! Jesus...
Somebody does say to me, when we were talking about this earlier when I was filling in Phoenix this morning, somebody said to me, where are the men of this church? And I agree. Grab this bleep and grab him and drag him out of that church. Drag his you-know-what out of that church.
But dying within it. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Touch me again and see what happens. You hear that? He's bullying, intimidating, and then touch me again and see what happens. He's terrifying these people. He's bullying them, harassing them inside of their house of worship.
Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens. Hey, you can't. You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life while people are starving. Shame.
All right, that's enough. So this is the terrorism taking over church, interrupting worship, violating the law and people's civil rights that is going on in Minnesota today. This is an insurrection. And I'm going to tell you why it's an insurrection. First of all, they are not just having roving mobs going over to churches and shutting them down. They're going over to hotels where ICE agents are. There's 2 brand new hotels that have just shut down entirely in downtown St. Paul, entirely because they were housing some ICE people, and these leftist terrorists found out about it, and so they literally have been threatening and going after these hotels to the point where they shut down the downtown St. Paul DoubleTree by Hilton. The ICE agents and everybody in the hotel were notified their rooms are being canceled. The hotel will temporarily close. The entire hotel will close due to heightened public safety concerns in St. Paul. Fox News' Bill Malugin reports. He says also he called to check online. They are indeed not taking any bookings for anybody right now. They referred him to other hotels. There's also same thing happened, according to Bill Malugin of Fox News, at Intercontinental Hotel in St. Paul. ICE agents and bookings notified the hotel will be temporarily closing today due to the ongoing unrest in Minnesota. The agent who talked to the front desk manager said he was told that it was done to protect staff because they've been getting threats from unknown individuals lodging DHS. So you have roving mobs that are shutting down hotels, terrifying people, threatening them, taking over churches. There's more, because let's go to a diner in Minneapolis. This is a diner where several tech guys. They do they're tech app developers, and they are mistakenly taken for ICE by these crazy leftists outside. You have roving mobs of leftists who are terrifying people, interrogating on the streets like brown shirts, like Hitler's brown shirts, to see if they are part of ICE when they think they are or not. They're on the apps. They're chasing down American citizens who they think are part of ICE.
This is so cool. I mean, so cool as in like this has got to be the funniest thing I've ever seen. I know, it's like, you feel like a zoo. I've never.
I'm just trying to enjoy my lunch. If you're not with us, then you're against us. So clear. So clear.
Oh my God. What? We do custom apps for a whole bunch of companies around Minnesota and the country.
Why are you filming?
Because you're filming us. Sure.
So there are mobs literally roaming around interrogating people on the streets as if they're the authorities. There are people attacking ICE violently as they come in and out of their operations. There are thugs who are attacking ICE and FBI agents and taking their cars over and ripping out their safes and stealing documents and guns from them. It is time for the Insurrection Act to be invoked. Churches, citizens on the streets, hotels, federal agents doing their job. It is absolutely time. I want to also go back to the church for a second. I want to go to one of the churchgoers. I think this is a late teen, early 20-something young man, and what he posted online about how he was terrified and what his reaction to all this is on a personal, faith-based level. There he is, and I'll read it. It says, ICE protesters invaded my church this morning. They stormed in right as the sermon started, surrounded the congregation, started shouting obscenities and their disgusting slogans. As the children started crying, this seemed to enrage one man even more. He started screaming about how we are privileged pigs. It's hard to know what to say or do in a situation like this, but the congregation began to pray, read scripture, and sing. Eventually, we were told to move to another part of the church, and the protesters were cleared out. I don't know what kind of person can do something this disordered and evil, but I keep thinking, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. Pray for Minnesota, and I could not agree more with that assessment. Pray for Minnesota. It's just incredible. And that's a very wise response from that young man. We have more video that I want to play for you as well. Don Lemon going up to the pastor and interviewing him as if he just walked in on like To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen or something like that. And you're seeing a pastor who's in shock, his flock are in shock, and now he's got a mic shoved in his face and bullying him as if he has done something wrong or been caught red-handed.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
okay, but listen, we live there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assembly.
But listen, he interrupted his sermon. But listen.
And protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to.
Please don't push me. He takes over a church, gets in this guy's face, and the pastor's going like this. Please don't push me. So they invade. They go after. They terrify. They threaten. And then when they're touched, one guy says, touch me again and see what happens. This guy says, don't push me.
Worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here. Yeah. Okay. That's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them?
Can you imagine somebody barging into your church and demanding you prove your faith, demanding you explain your faith, demanding you defend your faith? This is not the United States of America. This is closer to Nigeria, where they're going in and shooting and killing and torturing Christians. This is insanity. I know they're not torturing and killing people, but they're interrogating them about their faith. They're making them defend their faith in their own house of worship. The president is mulling over the Insurrection Act, and he would send in the 11th Airborne Division based in Alaska, specializing in cold weather and mountain warfare. It's time to send them in. It's time to invoke the Insurrection Act. I want to say it again, an attack on one church is an attack on all of us. Period. And, And one of the things in one of these articles, it says they're going hotel to hotel, church to church, and they're hunting us down. They're hunting people like us and ICE agents down. This is mob action. They're doing litmus tests with who is out there and what their beliefs are. This is terrorism. By the way, Tim Walz issued a statement saying that he doesn't support this. That's all. It was through a spokesperson. He had no public statement. He did this. These are his shock troops. These are his goons. These are his voters, along with Jacob Fry. These are some sick bleeps, I'll tell you that. Let's go to a young man who was interviewed on TMZ this afternoon about Don Lemon. Let's hear what he said. That he's a churchgoer, this young man. Listen to this.
About looking at the young people who are exiting the sanctuary and saying how they're traumatized, they're disturbed, and that's what's necessary in a protest like this. And I think that's just disgusting. I think that we as Christians are never promised peace or comfortability in this life. We know that people will be against us, but that does not mean that we shouldn't call people out when they do something like that or when they say something like that against us. And I think that is just a terrible thing to say about anyone, that they should be traumatized for the sake of a political agenda. So I am not on board with what he was doing there. I don't think he should have been there. I don't think he had the right to be there. He was part of the group that disrupted our worship service, even if he was just documenting it. Frankly, I don't really care if he was there to just document or if he was there to protest. He was there, and he was part of what disrupted our worship service. And so I don't think he should have been there. I don't think he should have said the things that he said. I don't think that it was the right time to interview a pastor in the midst of a protest, in the midst of his flock being attacked by wolves. And I just think that he handled it very unprofessionally.
That's exactly right. And you are part of the flock. You are part of the part of Croc's flock. That's us, and that's you, and we must not stand for this, and we must speak out about this, and we must be against it, and we must talk to our churches about a plan for something like this to go down, because it's only a matter of time for somebody else somewhere. Always be aware, always have a plan, have real men, be armed, have armed security, have fully marked security. There are police officers in uniform as well. Have a plan and be safe. I'm proud of that young man for what he said. Now, here's Don Lemon trying to explain himself with this insane leftist crazed woman who just says some real nasty, vile things. Here he is on this show with this crazy lady. I think her name is Jennifer Welch.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, yeah, I absolutely 100%, but it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America.
2 houses. He's got a penthouse with a doorman in New York City. He's got a house in the Hamptons, and he's the victim. Just so you know, he's the victim. And of course, he says racism, and all this stuff. There's no racism. There's no racial issues here. They're terrorizing people. They follow people to their cars. They follow children to their cars that slam their doors, trying to get away in a minivan. Here's this guy that's behind this maniacal, sick, satanic guy. He's going to have a lot of swears, a lot of vile things I'm going to play for you. But this is that guy that was screaming and yelling throughout the whole thing. Here it is.
Yesterday, I went into a church with Nakima Armstrong, and I protested these white supremacists. The pastor of the church is a fucking ICE leader in the city. How can you be a fucking pastor and be a fucking ICE agent? Fuck them. They want to come after me? Fuck them. How can they live so comfortably while the fucking people from Somalia that are in this country legally, that have fucking citizenship, can't even go to their mosque and pray? How do they deserve any fucking different? Fuck those fucking Nazis. Come and get me, Pam Bondi, you fucking traitorous bitch. All power to the people.
This guy is evil and satanic. I mean, there's no other way around it. Just a vile hatred. This is his faith. This is his religion. His identity. It's in this stuff. This is a sick, evil man. A wicked, evil man filled with anger and rage. Evil. Evil. Here he is, speaking of evil, here he is at a mosque saying how beautiful it is. I'm going to have to turn the volume up on this one. It's quiet. Every version of it that I found online is quiet. So I'm going to crank it up. But this guy is at a mosque saying how awesome it is, how beautiful it is. Watch this.
Somali mosque, and as you can see how beautiful it is, this is where they do their prayer. This is where normally 500 people will, come and make prayer, but things are quiet because the local community is scared to come out. They're terrified. It was an honor to be invited to this mosque, but it was surreal to be there, and it made me feel good about my actions in that white supremacist church earlier. How can these people be not afraid to go out of their homes, afraid to go practice their prayer?
So you're witnessing the cross culture of the crossing and the gathering of Marxists and leftists. Marxist, leftists, and Islamists. Marxists and Islamists, like you're seeing in New York City with Mayor Mamdani. That's exactly what this is. Marxism and leftism coming together. They will fight their battles, as my buddy Eric Erickson says. After they have taken care of us and gotten rid of us, they will fight amongst each other. This is satanic. This is evil. This is crazy, and they come after us. They come after Christians because we are truth, because we are right, because we are authentic. We are the truth. They worship, they love, they have no problem with Islam because it is not the truth. And by the way, this guy has no idea. I was reading Breitbart a little earlier, and Breitbart had a great point that he has no idea, apparently, how much hate and vile hatred is in, and hateful things are in the Quran. And you cannot take them out. You cannot remove them. The Quran is the Quran. And there's a tremendous amount of hate, violence, and vile stuff towards people, including gays, all sorts of people this guy would claim to be standing up for. I've got some other stuff, too, to bring up here. I want to see what I got here for you to play. Oh, yeah, I already played that one for you. Okay, got lots of different videos. I want to make sure I hit them all. Here we go. This is from the Wall Street Journal's Bill McGurn, and then separately I've got one from Fox News talking about an opinion piece from the New York Times. But this is from Bill McGurn in the Wall Street Journal today. Just some highlights from his column that I thought were very much worthy of going back to and looking at with Renee Good. By the way, Renee Good is not married to the woman who survived. That was her partner. She was not married. They were not married. They are not wives. They're not spouses. The 6-year-old the woman who's surviving has no entitlement to her 6-year-old son because she is not married to her. They are not married. Jacob Frey said he asked local police to fight ICE agents on the street. Bill McGurn mentions, correct. He says that Renee Good wasn't a career criminal. She was a liberal do-gooder who seemed to believe that her political positions rendered her immune from the consequences of refusing an order. She was a liberal do-gooder who seemed to believe her political positions rendered her immune from the consequences of refusing an order from a duly authorized agent of law enforcement. She thought she was immune because she's a nice white lady and she means good. You remember her partner who survived said, "This is my fault. I made her do this. I made her come down here." And she said, "Why do you have to use real bullets? Why did you use real bullets?" These people have no idea what they are doing until it's too late. Renee Good, had she simply obeyed, says Bill McGurn, she would be alive. That's absolutely true. She disobeyed 3 direct commands to get out of the car, at least. This weekend, Jacob Fry stuck to that line. When ABC's Jonathan Karl asked whether he regretted his statement of get the F out of Minneapolis, he said, "I don't regret it at all." So it's unrepentant, it's unchanged. They've done nothing wrong. They will not relent. They will not change their minds and apologize or say they were wrong, because it is a faith, it is a position, it is unequivocal. Even when they're wrong and they know they're wrong, they will not admit it, because it's all about politics and power. This from Fox News. New York Times columnist omits details in fatal ICE shooting of Renee Good. A New York Times opinion piece by a crazed leftist woman today writes that Renee Good was summarily executed. Quote, we've become a country where a person can be summarily executed in public by protesting that paramilitary force. Quote, after an ICE agent killed Renee Good by shooting her 3 times at point-blank range. Point-blank range is right here. These are just absolute ignorant fools who just make up lies and it gets printed. President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and other federal officials said the shooting was justified as an act of self-defense. This columnist writes in the New York Times today, the video shows otherwise, and pointed to Good's ostensible affiliation with left-wing groups, apparently affirming that protest is now punishable by death in America. These people are nuts. She also refers to Good's death as an execution. The execution of Renee Good, it says, has surely affected every potential protester's mental calculus. So that's the New York Times. This is the insanity. Police Chief Brian O'Hara says the emergency lines are overwhelmed by people calling 911 to report ICE. 911 is overwhelmed by people reporting ICE. Here is an example. This is from somebody who called in who apparently is a civilian commissioner for police oversight. Watch this. This is unbelievable. Caller is a civil. This is the 911 transcript from Alpha News, one of the big local news outlets there in Minneapolis, St. Paul, that tells the truth. Caller is a civilian commissioner for police oversight in Minneapolis. Has been receiving info from several people who have been recording ICE agents that when they follow the ICE agents, when these people that are following ICE agents, like Renee Good did, when they're following ICE agents, the ICE agents are leading the followers to their personal houses. So they're running the plates of these people who are chasing ICE around and following them and blocking them in and obfuscating. They're running their plates, and then while they're being followed, they drive to their houses. I love this. I love this. So they're calling 911 to complain about this. This is so great. Agents are running plates to gather addresses. They believe it's misuse of the system, which it's not, because they're suspect following them. That's absolutely not a misuse. Followers are being concerned for their own well-being. Good, you should be. You're terrorizing, following, obfuscating ICE agents. Caller has hopes that Minneapolis police could respond to the homes of the followers as a deterrent to show support to the community members. So when you follow ICE and obfuscate, they run your plates, they end up going to your house while you're following them. They want Minneapolis police to show up to somehow say, I'm on the side of the callers. These are freaking nutbags, nutcases. This is what they're dealing with, and this is why the Insurrection Act is appropriate at this point. Caller advised info would be given to car, told the car, like the police car, I guess, that told caller that somebody would follow up with him via phone to advise him on the matter or to provide them with a number on who to speak with relating this concern. Hi, can the cops show up at my house when I'm following ICE and they take me to my house because they punched in my plates and know where I live? Nothing about crime. They're not worried about crime. It's all about ICE, get them out of here, and then when we're held accountable, help police, come help us. Unbelievable, isn't it? Iran. I know that Trump is heading over an aircraft carrier. I know that it's going to be there in a few days. I know that retired General Jack Keane, who I'm a fan of on Fox News, said a couple things. The U.S.-based Iranian human rights activist news agency estimates that more than 3,000 people were killed over roughly 3 weeks of unrest. This is from yesterday, actually. Though the death toll reports are much higher, yes. But retired General Jack Keane says that Ayatollah Khamenei had brought in militias from other countries such as Iraq, Pakistan, Afghanistan to patrol the streets with loudspeakers and machine guns to suppress dissent. I think Trump totally missed the mark. I think he's waiting too late. And, I mean, look, I hope he does something, but I think it's too late. There's like 30,000 people apparently have been arrested. I would not be surprised if 10 or 12 million people were shot and killed in the streets. It's too late. I'm not pleased with Trump at all on this. I'm not. He failed. Now, if he does something great, but I am. To me, it's like it's going to be a slow fade where, we're sending the aircraft carrier, and then like a week later, it's all faded away. Nothing happened, just like Obama. Just like Hussein Obama with the Green Revolution, and nothing happened. He let that woman die, Nita, that woman who died on camera, and then nothing was done. Instead, he tries to put pallets of cash on Iran to buy him off. I'm not happy at all with it, with what Trump did. I'm not. This is great. This is absolutely great. State rejects Dallas appeal to keep decorative crosswalks, sets deadline for removal plan. They want to use queer power to keep their crosswalks, their LGBTQ crosswalks. I fill in regularly, as you know, in San Antonio, and they tried to fight this battle, and they've already lost, and they're already ripping up the LGBTQ painted crosswalks and all this stuff. But Dallas is holding out. With Black Lives Matter, I didn't know they had Black Lives Matter stuff, 30 rainbow crossings. They're going to lose state and federal funding if they don't get rid of it by January 31st, which I support 110%. Now comes the city council member that represents the highest body count in all of Dallas, last time I checked, his city council district, Adam Bazaldua. who districts include the Black Lives Matter crosswalks in South Dallas, declined to comment. Councilmember Paul Ridley, who represents Oak Lawn and Uptown, home to the rainbow crosswalks and other decorative street markings, could not be reached. This is from the Dallas News. Advocates for the crosswalks have called them expressions of community identity rather than safety hazards. Expressions of community identity. Oh, let's see here. I should have had this up. I'm going to do it now, though, for you. Ready? Hold on. Where is it? Oh, come on. Hold on. I got to play. Where is it? There it is. Okay, here we go. Here you go. They can use their queer power. Yes! Use your queer power! We'll keep the crosswalks open with queer power. It's safer. All right, get out of here. There we go. Thank you. Okay. Queer power. That's so funny. Anyways, so that's a little battle. Matt Damon says Netflix wants movies to restate the plot 3 or 4 times for viewers who are on their phones. Everybody's talked about the movie The Rip. I saw it. I thought it was very good. My dad saw it. He was texting us saying it's really good. But they literally have to do the plot 3 or 4 times throughout the movie because people are too busy staring at their phone. What's up with that? Poison. They were going to do a 40th anniversary tour. It was nixed after Bret Michaels demands 600% more money than the bandmates. 600% more. How about that, right? I don't know about that. I think there's a lot of people that would say no.
How about that?
They've made it 4 decades with their original lineup. They were anticipating their 40th anniversary tour. Bret Michaels wants to earn every dollar 600 times more than every dollar his bandmates make from the dates. The band even began promoting the tour online with guitarist CeCe DeVille posting over the summer, Poison 2026 tour, are you ready? Apparently not. We had a great offer, I thought, but we left it on the table, said drummer Ricky Rocket. It didn't work, he told the New York Post. Really what it came down to was CeCe, bass player CeCe, Bobby Dahl, and I were all in. Bret was, but he wanted the lion's share of the money to the point where it makes it not possible to even do it. It's like $6 to every one of our dollars. You just can't work that way. I don't do this for just the money, but I have to. I love this absolutely, but at the same time, you don't want to go out and work really hard and just take somebody else and make somebody else a bunch of money. I agree. Oh, and then do you want to get rid of Bret Michaels so you can tour? He says that's the last case scenario. It's like surgery. You don't want to do that. The State Fair of Texas is not the State Fair of Texas. As you know, they took away our guns 2 years ago, which is why a lot of their revenue went down because people didn't go there. They claim it's because it was expensive. I don't believe that. The State Fair of Texas, in addition to banning people like you and me with our guns, rightfully, lawfully concealed carry, they took that away after a thug shut up the food court, as you know. I've been all over that since day one. They're now announcing that they're ending the Texas rodeo, at least temporarily. The State Fair of Texas ending the Texas rodeo, at least for now. They're pausing it. So you can't bring in your guns, and there's no rodeo. It's the State Fair of California. I've told you that now for 2 years, and I'm right. Uvalde. The Uvalde massacre. There's a police officer, as you know, who's on trial right now for the Uvalde massacre for not doing anything. And let me just read a few lines and tell you my thoughts on this. A jury will decide whether one police officer could have stopped the Uvalde massacre. He could have, because he got there. Instead of going right to where, and this has been established since Columbine with every officer in America, federal, local, state, sheriffs, everybody. You go right to where the danger is, you go right to where the shooting is, and you shoot to stop the threat. You end that threat immediately. This guy hid like a little baby. I support him being prosecuted. Adrian Gonzalez, former school district police officer, he's being charged with the crime of child endangerment. He was the first officer to arrive. The shooter killed 19 fourth graders and 2 teachers while law enforcement waited more than an hour to intervene. Mark Eiglarsh, who's on fairly regularly as a defense attorney with Fox News, I like the guy. He says actually that the conviction in this case would set a sweeping precedent. He doesn't think it's going to go through because, quote, we can't hold our law enforcement up to perfection. But this guy arrived at the school seconds ahead of other officers. He pursued a running figure who turned out to be a teacher. Prosecutors said Gonzalez then delayed action, waiting on the east side of the school for backup. While shots were being fired and children were being murdered, he waited for backup. While little children were being murdered, he waited for backup. And more cover. He waited for backup and more cover. He delayed action, waiting on the east side of the school for backup and more cover as gunshots sounded, and he relayed the shooter's location to his radio. You son of a bleep. You literally waited and listened to shots of children being murdered. The scene, he sped to the scene, the sheriff's deputy from another neighboring county. Oh, here. There's a separate sheriff's deputy that came from, this is a separate person. The sheriff's deputy came from a neighboring county before realizing it was his own daughter's school. He was in shorts and a T-shirt. He pushed into the building and joined the team breaching the classroom. Quote, I was there. Nobody stopped me, said the sheriff's deputy who thought it was his daughter might be in there. He said, as to why he joined the team, he said, he just went in there. Nobody stopped me. So it was cowardice. Nobody was stopping you from going in and confronting the killer. Gonzalez said there was no safe way to get in. Yes, there was. We all know there was. A dead police officer cannot save a child, the defense attorney tried to say in the trial. You don't know until you go in there, and you know what? If you're dead, you're dead. You go and you do your job. That's exactly how you're trained and what you're told to do. If you don't want it, don't take the job. Prosecutors have stopped short accusing of this officer Gonzalez of accusing the deaths or injury of causing the deaths or injuries of the children, but they must prove to the jury that his action or inaction intentionally, knowingly, recklessly, or negligently caused them harm. He absolutely did it intentionally. He absolutely did it from inaction, and he absolutely knowingly didn't do anything, and he absolutely. So that's it. Kamala's team asked Democrat Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro if he was an Israeli agent. Kamala's team, when they were vetting him, asked him if he was an Israeli agent. This is the deep level of Jew hatred and anti-Semitism in the Democrat Party. It is vile. Did you see the San Francisco 49ers come out of a tunnel and dance around? Boy, they got their butts handed to them, and they lost 41-6. People were saying, now what are you going to do? You're going to go back in the tunnel now that you lost? What are you going to do? What kind of dance are you going to do now? Where's the video of them leaving after getting almost a half a century drop down, said one person. Another says if you walk out like this at an opposing team stadium, you should be required to walk back in like that when you get your A-word spanked. Exactly. Did you see the guy who does a lot of the Bears and Blackhawks game singing the national anthem? This is a great way to end this podcast right here. Watch this guy. His name is, let's see here, iconic singer Jim Cornelison, tasked with performing the Star-Spangled Banner prior to the kickoff in Chicago, where hosts are aiming to reach their first NFC championship. He's sung the anthem for the number of Bears games in the past. Let's go to him. I'm going to jump it up, though, because, we're not going to sit here for a minute and a half. I'm going to go right to the part where it just gets so real. This is, again, singer Jim Cornelison. God bless Jim Cornelison. What a great way to end the podcast. I'll see you tomorrow. Dr. Robert Jeffress is joining me. Here is the official information. Join me tomorrow as I podcast live. I'll definitely start before I have Dr. Robert Jeffress on at 5:10 Central Time, 6:10 Eastern Time. But Dr. Robert Jeffress joining me tomorrow live. This is the first live interview I'll be doing on my podcast, and no better friend than Dr. Robert Jeffress, my pastor at First Baptist Dallas, longtime and dear friend of President Trump's, is joining me to talk about the Crazed Leftist barging into that church in St. Paul yesterday. So follow me to watch it live on Rumble at Croc Talk, KROKTALK, and YouTube. So I'll see you tomorrow for that, okay, guys? Thank you very much.